Thank you very much. Once more, good morning. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming. Without wasting time, as I've just mentioned earlier on, that the management has got an engagement immediately after this session. So I will try to be as brief as possible, just to be on time. So we'll also give you time to have your views, comments, and then the administrator will respond. Those other questions that we cannot respond to, remember I said I need maximum 6 questions from you, just to be precise. Those of you who wish to field any further questions or comments, there is an email that is available, which we will respond, the management will respond via the newsletter that you'll be receiving. That newsletter will come twice a month, beginning. Right, without wasting time, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome the SRC president and his team who's here. Let me also welcome political structures who are here, as well as cultural structures of students that are here to actually listen to the administrator as he takes you through as to what will transpire going forward. Without wasting time, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite Professor Rensbeck to come on stage to actually give the presentation. Thank you. Let's give him a big round of applause, please.
Good afternoon. Sanbonan, Dumelang. Good. I'm not used to vice chancellors being, so I'm surprised that he's asking you to clap hands for the administrator too. So I'm not used to that. Yeah, I'm used to receiving brickbats thrown. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. It's a real special privilege and honor for me to be with you. Our leadership here this afternoon. And I want to repeat, it is a special privilege. It's not something that I take lightly, nor for granted. And so we've come out as the management committee to have our first substantive engagement with you, in part to share with you what has happened in the last 2 months, and what are some of the issues that we are tackling going forward. And so I think I extend my appreciation to each one of you for the time you've taken to prepare and to be present at this engagement. Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to begin by sharing a metaphor that I shared for much of this 2-month period that I've been here. And I share this not lightly, but out of deep concern. And so the image is an image of a ship that is on the rocks, and it's taking water. And if nothing happens, it's going to go down. And unless we all wake up to that fact, that the ship is on the rocks and it's taking water, until we get to that point, then we can begin to remedy the institution. I've said also to staff and to management in the institution that to be the discussion point from Stokvels and taverns all the way through to national cabinet in a manner that paints us as a Paluka institution, that paints the image of us as a Mampara institution, is something that we should be deeply concerned about. And it's something that must be remedied urgently. Because when we have those conversations in high schools that says, that's not the place to go to, because things have fallen apart in that institution, then it's a problem. Because it means that we will be unable to sustain our enrollment in this institution. And if we're not able to sustain enrollment, it means that the institution is definitely going to take water. We won't be able to pay salaries of academics. We won't be able to pay salaries of staff. And it will go down. You'll be aware that this is the second time that we are under administration in 8 years, 7 years. You may not be aware that this is the third time that we are under administration in 20 years. So there's a problem that is far deeper than we think it is. It can't be that VUT has been under administration 3 times in less than 20 years. And so for that very fact, we should expect that the assessor's report is going to be hard-hitting. It is going to hang out our dirty linen in the public, and it is going to recommend drastic interventions. What have the assessors shared with me? And I'll just give a couple of highlights. These are things that are not new to you. I'm sure about that. Say the institution has got no direction. It doesn't cohere. There's no direction, there's no coherence. Obviously, if there's no direction, according to them, there will be no coherence. In their view, there is nothing that coheres the institution, such as a strategic plan. And so anything from insourcing, equal pay for equal work, temporary contract staff, all of those issues are dealt with haphazardly, without a plan. They make the point that recruitment policies are either non-existent, this is for staff, are either non-existent or are manipulated such that I can bring my friend and get that friend appointed, and then the friend becomes permanent shortly thereafter. Or, another instance, there is the organogram with posts. But here are people in the staff who are not on the organogram. There's a culture, they say, of women being appointed for sexual favors. In respect of the academic enterprise, they're concerned about leadership. They're deeply concerned by falling student success rates, by a lack of cohesiveness and a plan. Concern from their point of view about mission drift away from science, engineering and technology. in their mind, we are getting students who consider us to be the last option. And as a result, we will have to invest far more in first-year experience, in undergrad support, because we are not getting, according to them, we're not getting the best students. They can't understand why technology is not in use in the institution, whether in teaching or in tutorials. They can't understand why residences are neither learning nor living places. They're concerned about our satellite campuses, that there's no master plan. They're concerned, the last one I want to highlight for now, they're deeply concerned that we are not giving attention to student attributes and to graduate attributes. And so therefore I share with you the sterilized version. Yeah? It might not be as sterilized as this, and there might be other issues that you will see when it is indeed published. It is with the Minister of Higher Education and Training. It's been with him since last week. And so back to the ship on the rocks. It is clear that we're an institution that is riven by factions. And that has to stop. Whether it is on the staff or the student side, it has to stop, this factionalization of the institution. We've experienced functional governance collapse. Procurement, as you know, or should know, is typically an area where we steal institutions, isn't it? Procurement, including infrastructure build, is the place where we steal institutions. How do we steal institutions? We manipulate pricing. We manipulate the appointment of tenders, successful tenderers. Crime syndicates begin to take control. If it's not crime syndicates, it's rogues who take control. And very quickly the university is stolen by crime syndicates and rogues. Right under our noses, our institutions are stolen. You think it was just Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality that was stolen? No. You think it was just the NPA that was stolen? No. You think it was just National Intelligence Services that was stolen? No. You think it was ESCOM alone that was stolen? No. Universities are being stolen as we speak. You can go to Sefako Magat, where governance has collapsed as we speak. And so procurement is our biggest weakness in infrastructure build. You've experienced it. I went on the walkabout with many of you to the residences. I don't have to repeat that. But to spend something like 37 million rands to fix residences, and 2 weeks later they are again in the same mess that they were, is a demonstration, is an example. And so we've had functional governance collapse or failure in procurement, infrastructure build. Just by way of example, financial governance has similarly as a functional area in part collapsed. You might be aware that, for example, this year or late last year, management had presented to council a proposal for a salary adjustment for staff. Council decided no, staff shouldn't get a salary adjustment. Labour mobilized, created an ungovernability situation in the institution, made it unworkable, after which a 7.5% salary adjustment was agreed to, at a cost of 70 million rands for this year and the years into the future. So how do we pay for that? Where do we find 70 million rand? And so here's an example of strategic governance failure at council leading to functional governance failure, the outcome of which is that we are in a dire financial situation. The ship is taking water. Another metaphor, opposite one to that one, the well is running out of water. What we also found was multiple and overlapping management structures. The one is not sure what his role is in relationship to the other. So you've got a failed council, you've got an executive management committee, you've got a management committee. And all that is happening here is decision making is going around in a circle. Decisions that should be taken by executive managers is pushed up because people are uncertain. And so the university has migrated in the time, on the face of it, it's migrated over this period to a state of paralysis. Management and institutional level. What's made this worse is the absence of confidentiality. Documents, decisions that are confidential are put out by this faction and that faction. You can almost say that there's trading in information, in confidential information. And so you've got a management that is leaking information. And so we're in an emergency situation. We're in an emergency with potential catastrophic consequences for you now as students and for the students that you represent, our broader student body in the university. There's potential of catastrophic failure and of a shutdown in the absence of us responding to this as an emergency. All of us responding to this as an emergency. And so it requires an emergency mode response. As I said to staff earlier today, if we think we're going to turn things around by doing the same things, then we are damn stupid. We cannot expect to do the same things and get a different result. And so that's the challenge for all of us. And I put the challenge to you also as our student leaders. What is your response going to be? What's your response going to be? Now that we know that we are in this situation, we don't need more information. We don't need more analysis paralysis. We know we're in the situation, so what are we going to do about the situation? And so we've got to get our institution working again. Working for the common good, working for the public good, working for your good. And each one of us will have to be the change. We can't speak of change, and we are not the change. Us as Mancom, you as student leaders. It's got to be reflected in the way we walk. You know that, right? The way you walk demonstrates or shows others what is your state of mind, isn't it? Akunja? When you walk, if your shoulders are drooping, what does it say? Yeah, you've lost hope. You've lost direction, you've lost purpose, you've lost passion. I'm not talking about walking now like a president, full of wind. No? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about walking humbly, but confidently. That we can turn and that we are turning the situation around. That we can and that we are turning the situation around. That's how we walk. Yeah? That's how we speak. You know, of course, that when you speak, people can also make a judgment call about you, isn't it? About your state of mind. The words that you choose, the tonality of those words. Everybody is looking for cues. You as leaders should know that. We as Mancom know that. Everyone is looking for a cue. The way you walk, how you speak, the words you choose, the tonality of those words. They send messages. They send messages. The actions that you take, how quickly you act, how decisive you are, all of those signal to those that you lead, those that you manage, that you are either hopeless or hopeful, that you are either optimistic or pessimistic, that you are confident or lack confidence, that you show resilience or lack resilience. And that is what's required now. Confidence, optimism, resilience, hope. By the way, confidence is not just some general thing about being intellectually confident. It is about being confident that you can fix something. It's knowing that you've got the competencies, the skills, the desire to fix something. And so what have we been doing then in these last, it's now 2 months that I've been with you. What has happened in these 2 months? So one of the reports that had been initiated by the university was the forensic report, the SNG report. You might have heard of that. And so beginning tomorrow, disciplinary actions are going to follow. You of course will be aware that some staff members had already ran like rats. And I'm not saying that they were guilty of anything, but they ran like rats. And so we're going to go through the disciplinary process, led by Pat. So Pat will be leading that process, and we're going to be vigorous, and we are going to conclude that as quickly as possible. You're aware that one of the biggest challenges in our institution is the fact that we've got far too many vacant positions. That our colleagues who are acting are investing so much effort and time, but because they're investing time in the acting position, it means the job that they're really responsible for, they're unable to do that job. And so there's another acting person trying their best to fill that position. And so we have, therefore, identified the critical posts. We call them the elephants that we need to fill by the end of November now. The 3 Deputy Vice-Chancellor positions, you will have seen that those were advertised. We have shortlisted. Am I right? We have No. Yeah, we have. My brain is suddenly, for a moment, I lost it there. So we went through the DVC appointments, shortlisting process. The upshot of that is that we are looking at those. In one instance, at least one instance, we've not been able to find candidates from those who have applied. and we are now headhunting for that particular, at least for one of those positions. The CFO position we've advertised. I think we've got something like 18 or 19 applicants. We're going to soon be looking at them to see if we've got candidates who are suitable for us. We did interview for the Executive Director Logistics and Operations, and that's the first one that we have now made an offer for. And we hope this individual is going to come and join us. And we have every confidence that this person will be ethical, because this is a critical portfolio, as I've said before. And we certainly will keep a close eye together with that individual and on that individual at the same time in that portfolio. Dean of Engineering, we have gone through that process. We've had to go headhunting now, and we hope to interview next week candidates for the Executive Dean position. The Director Student Housing, Director Student Life and Governance, tomorrow we are shortlisting for those two positions. I've had a sneak preview, and I'm sure that the selection panel will be able to identify in each case 3 good candidates that we can interview for those jobs. And we hope also to conduct those interviews hopefully next week as well. In respect of the other vacant positions, you're aware that there are other vacant positions. What we have decided is, having approved the strategic plan for the institution, this is 2024, strategic plan 2024, we now need to fine-tune the organization. As I've said, the well is running dry. It means that we have to be strategic in terms of which posts we can unfreeze. And so we are going through that exercise in the next month or so in order to be able to begin to identify key areas to the success of the university and to your success that we need to unfreeze. And so we're giving attention to that issue. Having mentioned just a moment ago the strategic plan 2024, the executives, acting and permanent executives, and I went on a strategic planning exercise about a month ago, 3 weeks ago. Each of the executives presented their own strategic plans. We also asked them to identify what we call catalytic projects. These are projects that can catalyze us and energize us in the institution, can signal a new chapter in the institution. And so we went through that exercise, and we've identified, and I'll share with you some of these. These are the catalytic actions by way of example. Online student registration.
Thank you.
Yeah. Online late application. No queues. Yeah? Okay. Big issue that you're aware of is the security of exams and record keeping. So that's a second one that we're going to be fixing. Third one is to focus on improving student success, and we'll be implementing what others have been doing for years now, an early warning and tracking system to identify students at risk and modules at risk, of course. Third big issue, of course, is student and staff safety and student residence rehabilitation. I just want to say on that front 2 matters. The first is that we're going to go, and we're going to need your support and leadership. We're going to go heavy on technology, meaning an access control system that is going to rely heavily on biometrics. Yeah? And so that's going to be a big part of your life in the next 6 months as we begin to make that transition. The related issue, going back to student residences, I don't want to say I had the privilege of walking with you to the residences. It wasn't a privilege. It was a sad experience. I'd said to Mancom, and many of us had gone with you on that walk, that given where I come from, those residences where I come from, and you know where I come from, those residences on a scale of 5, we would rate them 3 and 4. Apekaya. I said that we rate our residences a 0. Order, comrade. And so we have a very low base. And so what we have done as Mancom is to develop, and yesterday we signed off on it, is what we call a student residence rehabilitation roadmap. And please don't shoot me. So we're going to commence immediately with refurbishing Meropa. Meropa is going to be our source for, we call it in operations, decanting. So moving students out of a block in student town, moving them in there, fix that block, move them back, and go to the other blocks at a time. So as things stand, by the way, it's student town, it's Komanani, and it's Kutlanong. Those are the ones that are in the first focus. The idea is that by end of August next year we are done, but we want to try and accelerate it to finish it by end of June next year. And we will engage with yourselves, the SRC in particular, will engage with you about that particular process, and we're going to need your support and leadership there as well. And so student safety and student accommodation and rehabilitating our reses is a top priority. This morning we also heard from colleagues working in student residences that if there's one area that needs attention in terms of unfreezing posts, it is this one. And so they made a strong case for us to go back and look at the organogram for student residence life portfolio. So I've referred already to the vacant positions, for these to be reviewed in line with the review of the strategy, and for that to be informed by an organizational structure review. The next big thing that we have identified is to make new investments in our research niches and in our research areas of specialization. This is a big issue. We clearly have research strengths. It's time for us to elevate them. How do you elevate? You scale them up. You give capacity, you scale up, and you begin to showcase excellence in research in the institution, and you showcase it globally. So that's a key area we've identified. A big thing for us, a big issue that's come up in our strategy review process is that we have far too many non-feasible programs, and that it's high cost to the institution. And so we will be reviewing what we call non-feasible, non-viable programs that are currently being offered. Linked to that, we will also review the satellite campus viability and feasibility. It just doesn't make sense to spend 30 million rands on a campus for 800 students. And so you can see that there are big issues that we have to resolve, and very soon, in respect in particular of our outlying campuses. Key decision of ours has been that we're going to implement performance management in the institution. It's overdue. That's all I can say. Big issue for us is to implement urgently campus-wide high-speed internet access. And I emphasize high-speed access. And then just one other example of a catalytic action or an intervention that we will be working on is the academic staff qualification program. Now, 3 quick additional matters and then I stop. Firstly, outsourcing. After many rounds of discussions and debate, yesterday Mancom agreed to insource protection services staff over the next 5-year period. You want it in 1 year? No, you'll come with questions later. She's more. This is informed, and we will have a colleague who's going to come and address that issue later, because it's exciting you. So the first decision is then that we will insource next year. We will insource in January. From effective 1st of January, we'll insource the first 87 of 490 staff. And those who have, and of course you'll be aware two things. Number one, those who have been with us for more than a year, we will offer them a 3-year contract. Secondly, this will be a closed recruitment process. By that we mean that we limit it to those workers who have worked at the university in the recent years as protection service workers. So it's not going to be out Esebokeng or wherever that, we are now inviting applicants. No, we are only inviting applicants from those who are here now and those who have worked with us before, with other contractors. Contract staff whose contracts have been rolled over every year, some for 20 years. We will be, again yesterday we made a decision that those who have been with us for more than a year, that we will offer them 3-year term contracts. Finally, student accommodation that is privately owned. So you're aware that the university transfers more than 200 million rands a year to 200 per year. Not per month, okay. Per year. 200 million rands per year we transfer to private owners of student accommodation. We do so because we made a decision which has not been made, I'm aware, by any other university, to enter into lease agreements. Are you clapping for the lease agreement? And so, again, after much debate and discussion, what's that, Zinglish? Order, comrades, order. That's what I'm doing now, yeah. So after much debate and consideration, yesterday management also took a decision that we're phasing out leases and that we're phasing in the accreditation methodology. And so, beginning 2021, and 2022. Those are the 2 years in which we are phasing out lease agreements and we're phasing in accreditation. All that we will expect from providers, privately owned providers, here are our accreditation standards and requirements. We will come and check. We will have a task team with the SRC involved in that task team to go and check, tick the boxes. If there are boxes that are not ticked, conditional accreditation subject to you completing within 3 months or whatever term, those boxes that are not ticked, all boxes ticked, you are fully accredited. And we then advertise to our students, here are the accredited residences, you take up residence. And so the university will, in that circumstance, therefore, no longer receive your money from NSFAS. Yeah? Am I right? It will go directly to you. Yeah? And you will pay that provider. Yeah? Now I hope, order. I hope that you're going to be excited with us like this in January 2021. You know why I'm saying that? You know why I'm saying that? I've got experience of private owners paying student leaders to go and protest. To say, no, we want leases. Yeah? I've got experience with that, I promise you. So that's why I'm saying, I'm hoping that come January 2021, that you're going to be there with us. Yeah? You're going to sing there with us about this new revolution and this transformation. Yeah? Yeah, Mr. President. Yeah? So those are the issues that I thought that I would share with you. Of course, I should say that the university will continue itself to procure accommodation. Yeah? We will continue to buy or build. Was it buy and build? Subject to availability of resources. So I think I can stop there now. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Rensbeck. Colleagues, as I promised, we've got 6 questions that we will be able to take. Where's my team with the roving mics? Please just be ready. Right, let me start from this side, then I'll move to the extreme right. Gentlemen, yes. Roving mic. Please tell us your name, and then so that we can take
okay, thank you. My name is Lindouhle Khoza. I'm chairperson of SADESP. Prof, I'm raising on a question regarding the entrance to the Goldfields Library. Like right now, we're closer to exams, and we need to be in library studying, obviously. But now we're facing a problem in library whereby students cannot access the library, even though they can provide a proof of registration and their ID documents. Simply because they don't have student cards, they cannot access the library. So can you please look into that, Prof? Because the issue of student cards, we've been complaining about it for quite some time now. I think they can tell you, your colleagues there. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to ask.
Thank you very much, Ndugutla Khoza. Can I have the second question?
Yeah, I had to call you out because, first time when the administrator was introduced to us, I was not afforded a chance to speak. But just to cut the story short, I think, Prof, your your speech or your message to us is very clear, very decisive, and I think that's the correct direction to take. However, I will make a comment that because for the first time you deliver this kind of a message, we'll have hope in you and will trust you with our lives and also with VUT. We do not want this just to be a tautology, because we are coming from a history of talking, being promised this and that, and nothing has happened. So we want implementation more than any other thing. And I'm very, very happy that you emphasized on the issue of performance management, because we are having cadres here who are employed, who are getting salaries, they come to work every day, and they go back home, month end they get a salary. When you check what have they done in a week or in a month, they've done nothing for students. So I think that must be corrected as well, because we're having officials who are not student-centered. We're having management officials or staff members who are there for themselves, who are there for their cause and factions and interests, who are there for their stomachs. So we must really put measures in place to ensure that at the end of the day, students are getting services and students succeed in the system. I will tell you why VUT is having such a high rate of failure. It's because upon their arrival on their first year, there is the student experience of their first year is not strong and it's not organized properly. So students end up being disorganized and disorientated and end up in wrong places. Prof, the issue of the forensic report, the assessor's report, and that's where my heart lies. I think those reports, they must be published publicly as soon as possible, because if you do not release them publicly as soon as possible, we are having very dangerous people. They exist within the university who are going to steal the opportunity and run with propaganda and tell lies and confuse people and create tension and havoc. So if the truth is not told on time, you are opening a room for propaganda, lies, and confusion. And you are leaving us as student leaders vulnerable. Because they come. Management, they come. We don't go to management. We don't go to them. They will come here. That one. At the end of the day, you are having a university that is disorganized. And that's why there is no cohesion. We are having, let me tell you, we are having incompetent. Part of the reasons why we are not moving as VUT is because it's a reality. We cannot shy away from it. Unfortunately, at this one, we cannot put respect first. But if an elderly person is incompetent, you must be able to tell that particular person that you're incompetent. We are having a lot of incompetent officials from RES to A block. And you ask yourself, how did they get there? If they manage to get there, they're incompetent, why are they not leaving? The last point that I'm going to make. We've had rumors, we've had information, we have the reports, we had people implicated in reports, but we've never seen, anyone being dismissed. For instance, you spoke about the 7 billion at the rest. We speak about it until we get tired, and no one accounts for those things, and it becomes a stock fail, because today we are crying about Ntatene. I'll use him as an example because he's my friend. Today, Ntatene is implicated. We talk about it, we get tired. Tomorrow, when we forget about Ntatene, we move now. year in, year out, we are getting tired. People who are implicated in reports, they must face the wrath of the law. That's it. And that's what is going to stop people from repeating the same mistakes of maladministration and misusing the funds of the university. So people must account. We cannot just be having people implicated in reports sharing tables with us. Let them go. And then we have new people, and then we move to the right direction. But Prof, we know where you are coming from UJ. You've done very well for UJ in terms of finances, infrastructure, and academics. And we salute you for that, and we hope that you are going to do the same with us. What we do not want to see, as part of your history from UJ, I'm a frank person. I don't do meanders. Don't deal with student leaders. I beg. Don't deal with student leaders. I beg. You know, in VUT, Prof, I can assure you, I can differ with SASCO, I can differ with opposition. I can differ with them, but this is the most interesting team to work with. I can differ with them on my own because of my own political affiliation. But please, I'm not speaking on behalf of for EFF members. I'm speaking for the entire student leadership. Have a heart to deal with us like your own children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rana. Okay, let me jump to the other side. I've taken two here. Let me jump to the other side, please. Comrades, thank you.
Thank you very much. Prof, greetings to you. For the very first time, I was telling my leaders here that I don't know this man physically. I only read about him. I only knew him from the social media platforms, but I've never met him like this. So it is a great opportunity for me to engage you and to submit some of the grievances that I always come across from the students. Prof, I welcome your presentation. But I feel like there were certain pregnant issues that you never delivered. That I feel that it is paramount important that perhaps we need to submit them so that you deliberate on them, because students are asking too many questions outside regarding those particular issues. Prof, the first issue, you are sitting with the staff members that do not respect their duties, of which they make a fallacy of reports and presentation, pretending as if everything is all right, knowing very well that on the ground level, students are not satisfied with whatever they presented to any management sitting or whatever type of arrangement that you are having with them. Because number one, Prof, the person who's sitting next to you, that is sitting with a very huge burden of students that are crying day and night. They do not have funds, they do not have food, they do not have accommodation. They qualify for NSFAS, but because of his lazy office, there is nothing that has been done ever since. And we have been raising these issues about CAT system since from January, but there is nothing that has been done. The man is sitting next to you. I don't know whether he gave you those particular report or what. Because, Prof, in all the sittings that we had with management, we have made it clear that those particular students, either way, they must be assisted. If needs be, the university must take a decisive action to ensure that those particular students, they are assisted in terms of finances, they are assisted in terms of meals and otherwise. But the same office is reluctant to assist those particular students. The same office is even lazy to take a flight to go to Cape Town to submit those missing documents of those particular students. Prof, you did not touch the safety of the students, particularly from main gate and bedwell. We don't know, Prof, that we have to die before you address those particular issues, or a student has to be raped. And there's an outcry of gender-based violence, there's an outcry of rape culture, and there's outcry of all those things. But you did not touch those particular issues, and they're very much important that you need to dwell on those particular issues. If needs be, you need to deploy other security officers to go and patrol those particular areas so that the safety of students, they are not jeopardized, Prof. Prof, I just want to touch this sensitive one of disciplinary hearing in relation to the assessor report that is going to be chaired by Mr. Radebe there. I don't know the essence of it. I don't know. Perhaps it's a policy issue that Mr. Radebe has to chair that particular sitting. Because, Prof, we thought perhaps yourself as an administrator, we are going to chair that particular sitting so that there is a drastic action that is going to be taken. But, Prof, we don't have confidence in this whole process. Because, Prof, you might have a situation. Prof, because we know the people that are implicated, we already know them. But we know the outcome that might come. Because Mr. Radebe is going to chair that particular city. So I don't know how you're going to work out. Can you restructure that process? The whole of it. But we have someone who can take a serious action regarding those particular issues.
Okay, Dennis, I've just noted that you've got already 3 questions now. Can we give others a chance, please? Just wrap up.
But it's in Bizomus. We must speak issues. Otherwise, we'll left too many issues and then we'll complain outside. So let us not try to...
Right.
Yeah, Prof, we had Prof Zide that was running this institution, but a life happened. And then it was unfortunate that he could not finish his term. But upon his arrival, Prof Zide was someone who was vocal in terms of issues. He made too many commitments that he was not... Perhaps we could have allowed him to finish so that he can accomplish whatever he said it, but things happened. But there were too many things that Prof Zide has said and has promised this institution that is going to deliver. Up until today, from the scale of 1 up until 100, he only delivered 1%. So we don't know, Prof, we don't know in which angle that yourself, the administrator, you are coming here, you are speaking, we have heard this music before. So we don't know whether you are going to be the same priest that preaches and preaches and preaches, but without action. So can we be guaranteed that whatever you are saying, Prof, it is going to be implemented, and we need deadlines, Prof. We need actions, we need deadlines that on this day and this particular day, this and that is going to be delivered. On this day and that day, this and that is going to be delivered. The last one, Prof, is an issue of residents there. Prof, I'm sure you know the people that were involved in that particular issues of residences. But Prof, you did not give us interim solution. Yes, I understand the issue of time. I'm saying that this is the last one. You did not provide us with last. This is the last one. Prof, you did not provide us with interim solution. Students of Komanan, students of Kutlano, they're sleeping in a dire, unconducive environment there. And you did not provide us with interim solution. The only solution that you have provided us with, you are saying that you are going to refurbish this other one, Mirupa. But what will happen next year, January, with those particular students? Are we still going to have the same students going to occupy that particular area? Komanan, Kutlano, what is the interim solution? What are you going to do the whole December? Don't you have a solution for this a period of from November, December, January. Because you never provided us with any solution. So that is my last submission. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Dennis. Can we give Professor Ransbeck a chance to respond to those three before we take? Well, okay. Now, okay, a lady here. Can I have a lady here? Sorry. Okay, let's listen to the question. This is the fourth question, right? Sorry, please just go ahead. Time. Just go ahead, please. Sorry, Mike.
Okay. 2-3 questions, Baba. Agupogni. 4-5 years back, basic debate indaba ye transformation, if you remember correctly. Whilst we look at these universities that apply some form of neoliberal education, we don't condone such. And as yet, when you come to VUT, the one thing which I personally do not understand is, it seems as if in VUT, education to them is not service to Africa. We have disabled students who are not catered for. This university is not user-friendly to abantwana abethe abangaphathekanga kahle, mhlawumbe abangaboni, mhlawumbe abahamba ngama-wheelchair. And that whole panel sitting with you there, they are not blind or deaf to what I'm talking about. It's nothing new. Secondly, there's an issue of the learning halls here in this university. Whilst we pride ourselves in being a university of technology, if you've been around, Prof. Rensberg, not only is the technology low for a university of technology, it's not a conducive environment for students to be learning. Then comes the issue of master's candidates. I honestly do not know or do not understand or rather do not comprehend what the university was thinking by putting or rather pitting these senior students together with our first year students. I've heard a lot of Lamba leaders Ghana talking about issues of registrations in January. And they said they themselves do not attend to the issues of them sleeping with these children. 15 buses go and collect students from wheresoever, and there's no residents here. We got into these residences, you found 5, 10, 15 people in the same room. Genuinely. And if that to you makes sense, Prof. Van Rensbeck, then there's a huge problem here. Certain issues, including those of tutors. There's no tutors in it. If they are but few. There's students who are struggling, and the only thing that is being said is that students are not attentive in class. There is need for students who are not quick in grasping whatsoever information that is being portrayed, and no one is attending to that. And as yet you expect to get a 100% pass rate, you expect to increase the level of research in this university when grassroots level education is being neglected. I personally think those are some of the issues, Prof, that you need to really deal with. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this question. Right, in the middle there, then I'll jump to the other side as well. Just, yeah, please.
Thank you very much.
This is the 5th question, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm going to be brief.
Can you give him a chance, please? Thank you.
We appreciate this call, but then what I'm going to condemn is this issue of being limited to time, like taking few hands, because we have lots of issues that are pregnant and issues that are affecting students. So I feel like we should not be limited. All hands here, I think they should be noted, and then we engage in details on these issues. It's just a recommendation for the near future. And then again, I'm going to...
Let me just respond to that. I find it difficult to sit in a context in which there's rowdiness and in which we, irrespective of the urgency of the issue, we're not calm and relaxed as we engage these issues. Secondly, I cannot have a situation where the mic is taken over and student leader says everybody should now ask their questions, and then take over the place as if it's, a student in Daba. That can't be the case. It can't be the case that we operate in a chaotic environment. Irrespective of how urgent the issues are, irrespective of how dear the issue is to you. And so my appeal is, Hlisanga moya. Slow down. Let's have this conversation, but there are time limits for this conversation. If we need to have another conversation tomorrow, we'll have another conversation tomorrow. So just slow down, focus on the issues in front of you, put them across. But don't create chaos and untidiness and then wanting to take over the meeting as you've just sought to take over the meeting. That's not on.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Yeah,
Right, you can go ahead.
Receive my humble apologies. I'm going to touch on the issue of high failing rate. There is no proper support for students. If you check even our lecture halls, they are not conducive. You have broken windows, broken doors. I don't want to even mention what is happening on the wall. If you have went and took a survey on what is happening. And then again, most of these issues, they are emanating because we have no proper leadership. There is no accountability, transparency. I'm going to use the SRC as an example. We do not have platforms where we engage as student leaders or with the student at large, where we give them a mandate. As far as I'm concerned, there's never been a platform where we give them a mandate. And then it's the management at top level, they are condoning such things because now, if they do not take the mandate from us students, I'm wondering where they are taking the mandate. And in such issues, we have students who are not having their finances, accommodation. Some are sputtering at this point. We have students who are being placed next to a club, next to brothels. And then a student who doesn't have cash, common sense will dictate that. They'll be tempted to do despicable things that I don't want to even mention. So my call to the management, can you please be tough on the SRC so that we have platforms like the student parliament where we go engage, we come up with recommendation, resolution, and then we implement in trying to eliminate certain issues that are facing the student. I think that's the direction that we should take in the near future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, can I have the last question on that side, please? Before Prof. Rensbeck responds.
No, thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
go ahead, please.
No, thank you very much. Administrator, I can see that you are not a person that narrates for a long period of time. You speak directly and you are brief on issues. So I think that is a person that we need, a person who's less poetic and a person who directly deals with issues. But I'm concerned, it seems as if you love a heavy security presence. We are not violent people. There's no need for such a presence here. Definitely. So maybe I told something about us when you saw the Morupa building. When we become violent, I think you will make an analysis and an observation, and then you will see that, no, but it seems as if I need a security heavy presence. For Indaba, don't bring these people here. There's no need for heavy presence. We are peaceful people in nature. You said Khlisimo Moya, that in itself, Khlisimo Moya now, don't bring these people here again. Yeah, our first, the first thing that I would like, the first thing that I would love to compliment is on the vacant position, you made it both for internally and externally. What made and intensified fights within the university was an interest, because you spoke about functionalism. If ever there's a vacant post, we are going to fight to have an internal person, because we automatically know that this position is between these individuals. That in itself intensified fights within the university. So I think bringing people that we do not know about, that are going to come and acclimatize to environment, that will change the cultures and the traditional norms. Even if sometimes we do not like to change the culture because we're comfortable at this juncture and so forth. We need new people and fresh faces. Actually, I'm not lobbying you not to take internal people, but I'm saying the university needs new people. And it does not need people who had history within the institution itself, because it won't be a change on its own. I saw many applicants that applied who have been here before. Hey, I hope they don't enter. Yeah. On the issue of the report, I mean, on the issue of the report, obviously you are going to follow due process. Labor Relations Act and Head of HR Act. Dr. Pett is the chairperson of that committee. That's the unfortunate issue, the head of HR. It must be like that. What we must do as a populace, we must support Dr. Pett. I mean, when you're supporting me, it does not mean that already you are liking me or you are pushing me soft. We can even push him harder. We must support Dr. Pett. To say, Dr. Pett, even those that we like and our favorites are close to us, if they're implicated, do your job. Even those that you may like, if ever they're implicated in the report, do your job, do it and apply thorough process. Obviously, when Dr. Pett implements, it's not going to be the final stage. The report, it is going to come back to you. We are going to evaluate about the work that has been done by Dr. Pett Khatebe. So Dr. Pett Khatebe, we are supporting you. I know maybe others are going to come. I mean, you're a professor now. You know how to read English. A wrong, it's a wrong. They will go through legal processes. There's no problem about that. So we are aware of that. So on the issue of residents, the problem with residents, this is the problem. What happened with residents? The panel they are there in the front. They took a walk. They were part of that walk that happened last year. They took a walk, identified all the problems, employed or appointed personnel to come and do the job. You came before to witness a problem. You appointed a personnel comes. After when the personnel comes and fix the problems, they no longer come back to see how did the personnel fix the problem. So it's an issue of that. So with you, it's going to be a different approach. After appointing a personnel, you must take that work again and check with the personnel. Or perhaps those people had achieved their goal to say there's no need for us to go back again. What we wanted to do, wanted to appoint a personnel. That is one of the problems of the residents that we are having. I'm finishing. I'm not a very long person. On the issue of security, thank you very much. This is what's divided the institution. Security. Tender of security. There's no tender that divides and is as big as security. It even divided council itself. Even you can even ask Dr. Mko, and I will tell you that when it comes to an issue of security, tables and chairs can fly. So the issue of security, on a serious note, we need insourcing. Yes, insourcing needs a sober head, you know. People like to speak insourcing, insource, just insource. Obviously, when we said we have got 87 personnel, it's a start. It will go, you will restructure it. Their salaries, there's a huge salary bill. Their position in the enogram that need to be scrapped out. You need to unfreeze certain positions. So of course, we will give you time, you know. We're not going to say insourcing. We must have a research methodology in sourcing. It's not a simple thing to implement, especially with the financial crisis and the design. So take your time, but the process must go on. At least have those, you know, who will come. Engage? Yeah. Prof, okay, no, this is my last one. What we need, actually, I think, Prof, yes, Prof, can you also transform us, you know? When I say transform us, transform our student activism. We need to produce leaders. We're not going to produce leaders in this institution. That is why when you go to parliament and legislatures, you find students from your own campus, UJ, in parliament list, the likes of Mipon, your students that we have developed. You won't find any of our students, Prof. Let's have more engagements. Let's have more imbizo. bring professors, bring political analysts, let's engage, let them teach, you know. That is what we need. We don't have platforms. We need platforms. Create those platforms so that we can engage. Then they can capture. This platform on its own, many have learned and have been an eye-opener. You know, there's what you call social media beauty. That platform is prioritizing our politics. If we can have platforms of this nature, I had hoped, because in your area in Bizo, you invited the union with their constituents, which were workers. Here you invited us alone. I'd also hoped that we invited students, but regardless, perhaps we had your own reason. Now, the issue here, we're in financial crisis. When we're in financial crisis, we have got a lot of expenditure. Anybody who would sell any residence. If ever there's anything in our coffers, you can buy that residence. We need more residents that are owned by the institution. We need students who are going to pay money that's going to go directly back in the institution. And in the near future, Prof, when there's internal capacity in the institution, we don't need to use anybody external. I can give you for an example. Maybe take time with Prof Khatebe. At judiciary, they've got two lawyers of the institution, but they always take external capacity and advocates who would come and charge the amount and neglect the capacity. So we must trust that our own, even our own curriculum, your graduation counts, you've got graphic students, fashion design, your own photos, you've got students who are doing model photo, your own cafeteria can be run by students who are doing hospitality. David Tlale, the best continental and international design, one of the best, is from the very same curriculum, ours, but it seems as if we do not have our own trust in our own curriculum. I think you are a submarine.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for that question. Can I come here now?
Isoleto, Africa. Thank you, and please let me submit to Prof. Prof, first and foremost, I would like to acknowledge the setup or the calling that you made to us as student leaders, and I would like to say thank you for giving us this kind of platform to cough out the issues we have. First and foremost, I'll start by touching on the issue of the infrastructure, be it in the residence and campus itself. Because what is being spoken is residence. We forget about our own lecture rooms, which are not conducive for learning. If you were to visit GW, by entering you'll find script notes, formulas and codes and anything that you can think of that can assist a student to pass. But we are a university. If SACA or any other body that evaluates institution can visit our lecture rooms, believe you me, we are going to be the last or the lowest in the rankings of universities. So with immediate effect, before exam, I would like to plead with you to repaint. I don't know whether paint will affect us when we are studying, but I think to repaint all lecture rooms. And those lecture rooms that are going to be used for exams, can they be locked with immediate effect so that people don't go there and write things before exam? If others will be angry with me, it's fine, but reality need to be told, Prof, that those lecture halls that we're going to use for exam, can they be locked at night? Can they be limited for usage? Or else we rather join other institutions, write our exam in other environments which are not in where we're learning, because here we're vandalizing or we're maneuvering, we're students and we're creative. Two, Prof, our toilets, Prof, are not conducive. I'll come with them. We speak of residences, but we forget of our own environment here in campus that is not conducive. Please, I don't know whether the toilets needs to be fixed or the cleaning needs to be I don't know, but one of the two is either cleaning or they need to be redone. And then, yeah, also we have your departments such as IHAU, I think they need to start to do campaigns on hygiene, instead of sitting in their offices. Like Comrade Lemu spoke of different personnel or staff members who just come to work for 12 months, but they won't even show you one program that they've ran. So I'm saying different departments need to start working. We have an how that needs to start to teach people about hygiene. Prof, if you were to have a visitor now and say they need a toilet, they are nearest bathrooms here, but they won't be able to access or enter and come back and eat the food that you prepared for us after this in Biso. In moving forward, Prof, we are a university of technology, but technology seems to fail us. You can go to all universities of technology across board in Mzansi. There is no institution that doesn't have online system. You know, we have queues where stampede, corrupt people who take monies in January. You know, the cause of that is because everyone is clumped at once to come and do their things. Seniors are registering, masters are presenting, first years wants to enter the university. It's a confusion, Prof. But if ever there was an online system that even when I'm home and I don't have financial problems, I don't have exclusion problems, I can just add my modules that I'm doing the following year. I come to school when classes commence. There won't be any stampede or anything. The university there will be fresh air to simplify things. So I still plead with you, Prof. You spoke of high-speed Wi-Fi. Let's also improvise in the online system. Dr. Mukwana attempted to run it 1 year, but the problem is we have a September a June registration. He just wanted to start it in January instead of first attempting with it in September. We see our flaws and then we improve. Come fully January registration, we've polished where we are lacking. So, Doc, you've attempted. It doesn't mean when you fail, you don't attempt again. You must attempt and attempt until you get it right. It can't be that when we attempt once and then there were hiccups, now we wash our hands to say, no, we'll remain with the old system of learning. Come to the engineering department where I come from. I heard that you've advertised the position of one of the favorite deans we had. I don't know why, but of the report, as Comrade Lemu has spoken, Professor Ndenge was one of the best, although he was arrogant sometimes when we advised to say that the electrical equipments, Prof, they are outdated. I will speak of electrical because I'm doing electrical engineering. The electrical equipments are outdated. If you check process students, for example, there is what we call logo Siemens system. Come to VUT, that system is not there. We are still stuck in the metal Sasol system. Not all of us are going to be absorbed by metal Sasol, and we need to move and benchmark with the other University of Technology. Because of course we are University of Technology. We need to move with times. We need to move. And maybe we'll climb the ladders insofar as ranking is concerned. Coming to the issue of residencies, Prof, I agree, but there is one, the accreditation. I don't know how the concept is correct. You go view and do what. The only plea that I can make is that one of giving the money direct to the students. I want to submit now that when you have NANCOM, you go and review it. Why rather, if ever students are going to be allocated by the institution, after you allocated, the money instead of coming to the university, it goes directly to the account of the landlord, rather than you taking it to the account of students. Ask me why. We've seen a lot of changes with the new system that the NSFAS introduced of the money entering in bank accounts of our brothers and sisters. It's a chaos. Our brothers and sisters are dying of hunger because of that system. But however it is implemented. So even this one that you are about to implement, can you please kindly try to, I'm not saying we must not accreditate and be like other institutions. Transformation is good, but don't tempt our students with money, because you are going to be faced with a lot of challenges of students sleeping in libraries. GW, they know that I'm crying about today, there are going to be more because people will be starting using the very same wall, sleeping there. So please, Prof, in that part, just try to check if when after accrediting and after appointing students there, can't you be able to transfer the money, NSFAS can't be able to transfer the money directly to the landlord. I think NW is using that kind of a system. So I think it will work with us. In conclusion, Prof, I would like to speak about, I see the famous singing is Komanan Kutwanong Miloding Residences. We forget about Student Town. Student Town is a mess, Prof. There are toilets that you won't even enter. It's a mess. So when you come up with a solution, also include Student Town in your solution. It might look fancy maybe outside. When you look at they paint the roof. You know, those people in the residence are very creative. But when you were to enter inside, you are not going to even eat for the whole week. So please, in your interim solution, includes the Student Town residencies. With the report, I didn't want to speak a lot compared to the report, but if Comrade, I think for the first time I'll agree with Comrade Limu to say that we participated in those forensic report and assessors report. We submitted, others submitted, but the students submitted. I think it's only fair, Prof, to also for them to get the feedback of what were the findings, rather than to say that it's going to be called a management thing. I think there was once during the era of Prof Mutwan, a report was done and then it was made public. We read it, all of us, and then we came to find what is happening. In conclusion, Prof, I'm tempted to say that Professor Zide had his own plans and he called different things, state of the university address, gave time frames. I don't know whether people failed him. So I want to also urge you to say that you see now you are giving time frames of things, but the personnel that you work with, they tend to fail you. Umdala tried his level best. The performance-based thing, he also gave certain individuals tasks to say they must implement it. Till today is a rumor and you're coming to speak about it. There is a lot of things that we will, in a state of university address, I think it's a speech and it's out there. There were a lot of things with time frames and personnel's names attached to it. To say, I'll say, Dr. Mgwen, your task is 1, 2, 3. You and you is 1, 2, 3. Nobody delivered. But if we are speaking of performance-based, they've already failed before we even implement the performance-based. So Prof, in conclusion, I want to acknowledge here, these comrades here, even though they were well militant today, I would like to acknowledge the insourcing of the protection service. It's a start. This university has been, it had maybe close to 4 protests where all of them was about insourcing. So you insourcing protection service, we acknowledge, we hope you will also insource the rest of these brothers because they are being, and mothers, they are being exploited. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Colleagues, can I give now Prof. Rensbeck a chance to respond, please, to your questions? Prof. Rensbeck?
So those of us who still have questions, please, can you put them for us down? And I promise that I will respond to them. Yeah? So I'm going to ask some of the colleagues to step up and to deal with 1 or 2 issues. But I want to begin by saying that the administrator is different from the vice-chancellor. I'm not sure if we appreciate that. That the administrator is the council and the vice-chancellor in one. Yeah, Vaga? I think it's important for us to think about what that means. And I'm not talking now about the internal contradiction in the fact that it sits in one person and the internal conflicts that arise. Let's leave that aside. The key point here is that A, decision making is shortcut. But I think it's important for me to make it absolutely clear that wherever I have been given a task, that task gets implemented. And VUT is no different. The approach that we have adopted here with the management committee is an approach in which the administrator works with management, seeks management's input, and we work as a team. So it's not an administrator sitting in a corner, dreaming up things, making announcements. No. The process that we are running here at VUT is a process that says the administrator can achieve nothing in the absence of a driven and a focused management team. And so that's a big part of the role of the administrator, is to inspire, is to challenge, is to motivate, is to encourage, is to recognize, is to hold account, is to coach, is to mentor, is to learn. And so yes, there will be, I can't guarantee, I'm not a machine of the fourth industrial revolution. I can't guarantee things, but I can commit to accomplishing things. And I'm hopeful that given what I have been able with teams to accomplish at many other places, and with your support as leaders, that we're going to make a difference. And that's my commitment. And so please don't, you see, if you keep on repeating the things that you are repeating or saying that you did a year ago and 2 years ago and 3 years ago, we're not going to go forward. So if you keep on harping on the fact that the institution has failed to implement A, B, C, D, and by the way, why are you giving timelines? And then somebody else says, we need more timelines. So we just need to apply our minds as leaders to these issues and questions. And so the issue is not to look back as in permanently frozen in the perspective of looking back. No. There's not going to be transformation or change. We reflect on the back, on what's behind us, in order to inform what we do now and what we do in the future. But to constantly harp on this idea, Suka, this has been said before, we've been here before. Nothing is going to change. And I have appealed to you at the beginning to say each one of you need to be the change. You can't be the change if you keep on looking backward. You're going to be the change when you begin to look forward. You look at the facts on the ground. Yes, hindsight informs your analytical capabilities of today, and it informs, it's your foresight for the future. And so yes, you must hold us accountable. You must hold the administrator accountable. You must hold management accountable. And we submit to that accountability. As we submit to the people of South Africa, we submit to accountability. And so you've raised many issues, important issues, that I'm going to summarize. So the student cards access issue at the library, it's the first time I hear about it, and we're going to look into that. So if you could please draft. Okay, no, you don't know to draft anything, you've made the point. And we're going to pursue it immediately after this. So yes, like you, I'm concerned that our staff should be student focused. And we're going to drive that tradition and culture where it is missing. First year experience and orientation not being effective, yes. We will sit down, I will sit down with Prof. Rihanna and her team to see what is the problem there and how do we make it sharper and focused so that it's not a chaotic experience as you are bringing to our attention. Reports. I liked what one of the leaders said towards the end now. You see, the SNG Grant Thornton report, if I put it out there now to you, raw, unedited, it has got people's names, people who have not gone through due process. And so by implication, your name is in that report, you are guilty. And so those individuals will have every right to take the university to court. They'll have every right to bring their lawyers in and to say, you had no authority prior to taking me through a disciplinary process to publish that report. And so I leave it for you to think about. We've been thinking about, with the registrar, we've been thinking about how we deal with it. Do we put out a redacted report? Remember that redacted report of Trump on the investigation into Trump, right? And that report was particularly redacted to support Trump. And so you're going to say, no, we've redacted the report to support ourselves and to protect ourselves. And so if you've got ideas about how we do this, please, I look forward to getting your thoughts and your wisdom on it. But there are these constraints in law that we, or these facts in law that we have to navigate as well. The assessor's report, I'm certain that report is going to go through some finessing. Okay, I can assure you, it's gone through finessing. Yeah? It's gone through some editing here and there just to make it sound like a report as opposed to a lashing. Yeah? So maybe some of the report, part of the report will come across as a lashing, but that report will then be out. So it will be publicly, it will be gazetted in the government gazette. Once the minister is satisfied, has engaged, he will have to engage with the administrator, he will have to engage with the assessors, if needs be, before he gazettes that report. Yeah? So that report ultimately will be gazetted. I did indicate that we will have a disciplinary process. Pat, maybe you want to talk about how we do discipline?
Colleagues, how are you and my students? You know I'm a disciplinarian. Right, this is how this thing is going to happen. It doesn't mean that I'm actively involved in that thing as Prof was saying. When you are saying that I'm leading the disciplinary action, somebody independent has been given the report to see what charges are there to be leveled against people implicated, and that person has made his own findings and has actually formulated disciplinary action against certain individuals. All what I'll be doing is to make sure that there is a tribunal that looks into that, not myself getting actively involved. See, so that I also stand back, so that if I'm also implicated, I must face the music. That is what I'm saying. So have trust in the report. If I'm wrong, even with the assessor report, when I'm found wrong, I'm prepared to file by the sword. It's not a problem. Thanks, Prof.
So just to reinforce Pat's intervention, Prof's intervention. So all that we do is to appoint an external chairperson for that disciplinary. None of us inside the university will be chairing that. But as has been correctly stated, Once we have, as we have done, once we've gone through the report, had somebody look at it, and once we've made up our mind that we're looking for this or that sanction, then we hope that that chair is going to deliver that sanction. But it's in the hands of that chair. It's of course up to the administrator to accept the sanctions, if there are sanctions, preferred by that chair, and to ask for higher sanctions if needs be, if there were to be sanctions against those individuals. And so yes, people are going to account. I just want to make that point very, very clear. And if needs be, we are going to pursue people through legal means to recover funds. Roy, aren't we appointing people to look at that forensically, also at the 37 million spent? So BDO. So we have appointed, in fact, as management, a company to do the forensics in respect of the work that had been done in the residences. Yeah? And people are going to account. Yeah? So have a heart to deal with us as your children. Remember, I was like you. I was a young activist like you. My first time in prison was 1976, as a 76er. My next time in prison was 1980. Next time in prison was 85 to 89. So I come from where you come from. I come from a poor working class, blue-collar working class family. Yeah? And so I think I'm a little bit street smart. Yeah? I'm not just, an administrator. And so I appreciate where you're coming from. And I appreciate your issues. But you will have noticed that I give as much as I take. You will notice it in time. So yes, I will take, I'll take the punch, but you must also be willing to take the punch. And I don't mean now a bloody punch, no. I'm talking about the intellectual conversation here. So you're going to push me, right? Yeah, you're going to make assertions, you're going to make claims. Some of those claims are not entirely truthful. They part truth, part spin. Then you must also expect me then to respond. In, what's the word? At the same level, right? So don't expect me to sit back and to just take knocks left, right, and center in conversation. It is also about, as the one comrade was saying, it's also about us learning together and growing together. Yeah? And so that's my attitude. Clearly though, if you're going to cross the line many times, I'm not saying once, many times, then we take risks, isn't it? So I took risks. 76, prison, 1980, prison, 1985 to 1989, prison. Those are the risks that we take. Yeah? Akunja? It's the same year, isn't it? It's about the political risk that you take to push beyond the norm. And when you push beyond, there is likely to be a consequence. And obviously my job as administrator together with Mancom is to, on the one hand, be as compassionate as we must be, because as you say, our relationship is more than just manager-student or manager-student-leader. It's more than that. It's about growing together, it's about learning together, it's about helping you position yourself to be great leaders in our nation, on our continent, in our world. Because you shouldn't limit your scope to Mzansi as leaders. Yeah? And so I think that it's been a good intervention, that one, to say that we should create platforms for dialogue, and for growing together, and for learning from each other, and to bring in leaders who are sensitive and politically, astute to engage with us here together. So I do have a heart. Food, accommodation, NSFAS, qualifying, not awarded. No. Your office, is that? Speak for yourself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, students, at this time, I think everybody in the country knows that NSFAS has centralized the application. We all know that unlike before, where would institution knows before and inform the students apply directly to NSFAS and the students are approved by NSFAS. We know that there are some students where we know for sure that students qualify for NSFAS, but NSFAS, due to their administrative work being behind, students have been assisted. I'm talking about students, our students who got NSFAS last year, who passed according to the progression rule of NSFAS, but when they look at when they look on their status, they have not yet been updated to approve, so we have assisted those students. The leader is talking of students who believe that they qualify, but we don't have, the institution don't have a proof. So we are assisting students. We also beg all students who believe that they qualify, they must still come. They catch up. They catch. Yes, we know the catch students. We know that NSFAS catch students, those are students who have applied. NSFAS has not yet responded. The leaders are also aware of the efforts that we have made. That leader who's talking is no more in the SRC, but the SRC that's one.
Sit down, Adisha.
We can't allow this to descend into a mob setting. Comrades. On this note, I'm going to close this meeting now. No, we're not going to use security to take him out. No. If you do that, then that's the end of the meeting. Just switch off that mic, yeah? It's interesting watching this and observing this. It's interesting observing this. So, it's clear what we will do now is maybe you should invite the comrades with the SRs, the relevant SRC leaders, to take up that issue. Yeah? Let's have that meeting in the next couple of days. We can invite him, yeah, to that meeting. Okay, no, cool. Are we cooling down now? Okay, we've only got a couple of minutes still. Let's look at those other issues. Disabled student access. There is a project. There's a project currently underway. We can give you the details on that project. No, we'll share with you the details. Yeah? And you should feel free to comment on it. Okay? Thanks for raising that issue. VUT not conducive to learning. I think that point has been made very strong. I don't know if you want to respond, Rihanna, or shall we just take it up as management? We'll just take the technology-based issues, the MA candidates and your experience. Take a note. The high failure rate and the sources for that high failure rate. We've taken note of your concerns. Infrastructure lecture halls, that specific issue has been addressed. I don't know if Roy, you want to... It's straightforward. It's going to be fixed. Or it's going to be fixed. That particular issue. We found the appropriate paint and technology to be able to prevent people from writing after it's been painted. And that paint, I'm told, will last us 10 years. So here's a good test of technology enhanced paint. Yeah. The toilets. Yeah, I'm still going to take that walk down. What's this walk that I've been told I must take? N1. I still have to take that walk. We did the walk the other day, but it was rather quiet on campus. So I'm going to take that walk still down. And I will have the walk to the toilets as well. Electrical engineering equipment outdated, we're going to look into that. And the concern about the transfer of funds to operators as opposed to individuals. What's the process? Do you want to come talk about that process once we're out of leases? No? All right, okay, all right. I think now you and your friend... yeah. All right. So many of these issues, what we will do is we're going to have a follow-up meeting with the SRC, and we're going to work through many of these issues that have been raised. I think on that note, then, we have to now bring to a close our conversation. And I commit, well, I don't know where you're going to be the first week of December. You're going to be gone. First week of December, we're going to meet again. Yeah? And those of you who are asking about deadlines, we'll talk about deadlines, and hopefully some of those deadlines will have been implemented or tended to already. We can have it offline. Thank you very much, comrades and leaders. Did you organize any meals for? Okay, next time. That's a promise. Thank you very much and have a great afternoon. Back to class. Thank you very much.